broadcasting live to your mind. This is Shenanigames episode 2. And this time, talking about Twinkle Star Sprites, which I have the Switch version here. I have two versions of this game. I have the Switch version and the PS4 version. But I was surprised to find once I got a Switch that it was an English version of this game. The PS4 version is ADK Damashi, Soul or Spirit, and yeah, this is a collection of different ADK games. I forgot them. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, Twinkle Star Sprites. Basically, one day somebody was sitting around thinking, you know what? What if we took like a competitive puzzle game like Puyo Puyo or Dr. Robot's Mean Machine, as most people probably know it as, and we made it like a vertical shooter on top of that, and mix them all together and make it cute and adorable and crazy at the same time. And that's what ADK, and SNK, cooked up this time around. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good game. Shenanigames as a whole is just sort of about putting the spotlight onto lesser known games, and hopefully there's an English version, and if not, well then yeah, you gotta figure it out. And I mean, this game has been ported to like so many different systems, like Saturn version, Dreamcast, I think it's on Steam. I have PS4 and Switch version, so this one, unlike Loop Salad, is actually available on a lot of different things, and that's kind of the reason why I picked this, because it's a lot more easier to access, and there is an official English version. And there's a story, but it's just find the Twinkle Star. I mean, that's battle it out, against each other, and see, who can be on top when it comes to the shooting. And yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's definitely not bad. There are other games that it has inspired, and you'll see that later on in the video. I will spotlight probably the most well-known game that is inspired by Twinkle Star Sprites, which is part of a very, very large franchise that I only have a little bit of experience with, but that's besides the point. So, again, enough dilly-dally, let's get right into it. First, there's a little how to play section, just to get you acclimated with, how the game goes, the basics and all that good stuff, Shooting does this, if these enemies will go to their side, and they'll send enemies on your side, things like that. Now, my favorite character or characters in this case are Tinker and Linker, the two fairies. Their stats are decent, as well as having a decent speed, but what makes them unique is their charge shot is a gem, literally, which can be shot in 8 directions. I feel this gives them an edge over the other characters, but don't let the cute aesthetic fool you. There is a great deal of challenge in the story mode where you can only play as Lode, the main character, and her friend Rabbit Cat are the main characters in the quest to find the Twinkle Star, which can grant any wish. And sadly, I haven't played the game against another player yet, but I imagine it would get pretty frantic. There are 3 modes to choose from: character, story, and versus. Here I show the character mode, where you can pick whichever character you want and take on different opponents until the end. Every character has 5 hearts to represent their health. If you bump into an enemy, you'll become dizzy and lose 1 heart. You have to wiggle the left analog stick and hit buttons to go back to normal. The fireballs the enemy sends do 2 or 3 damage to whoever's health. Charge shots are paramount for sending the fireballs to the enemy side, and everyone's charge shots vary. As the player defeats enemies, the charge bar increases, and they can charge for longer for a more powerful shot. Everyone's bomb varies too. In the case of Tinker and Linker, they shoot a large blue beam which covers a decent area of their side for a few seconds. As far as the influences go, it sort of seems inspired by Sailor Moon and Pinching with the rabbit cat resembling Ryo-Oki, but a parody of it, maybe like Waka Waka 7. There are 7 stages to go to get the ending for each character, and they all have different endings. In this ACA Neo Geo version on Switch, there are 9 characters. I think the Saturn version has an extra character, but I have no way to play that version anyway. And for prices I've seen for some Saturn games, they cost quite a pretty penny. In other words, hundreds of dollars that I don't have. So this game came out in 1996, and at that time, I can remember playing Kirby Superstar and Donkey Kong Country 2. From reading magazines, remember those, I knew that I knew about the other systems that were coming out, but I was just a kid back then. I remember seeing how expensive the Neo Geo was, and I knew that it would be a system that I would never own. Flash forward to now, and we have a hilariously named company called Hamster doing various ports from the arcade and Neo Geo. Every game is a more affordable $8, and occasionally some of them go on sale. In a way, this helps give these games a second chance to be discovered by a new audience. In a way, Hamster and M2 are preserving video game history, and I think their efforts should be applauded. A physical collection of some of them would be nice, but maybe it's not financially feasible right now. My introduction to ADK was the World Heroes series, which had a collection on PS2, and I only think the last 2 World Heroes to Jet and Perfect are worth playing. The first 2 are far too slow for my taste, but maybe it was fine in the mid-90s. However, Twinkle Star Sprites has aged very well, tight and responsive controls, and it seems to run at a decent pace. I'm no frame rate expert, so I can't really comment on that, but it's normally easy to tell what's going on. Sure, it gets hectic, but most shooters do, and this is before the advent of Don Maku, or Bullet Hell, if you will. More on that later. This feels like a perfect lightning in a bottle moment for ADK, which stands for Alpha Denshi Corp. The sprite work could really only be done on the Neo Geo at the time. The deeper nuances of the game elude me, but Hardcore Gaming 101 has a good article in the end that I'll link in the description. I think box attacks trigger after sending so many fireballs to your opponent. As far as extra attacks, I have no idea, honestly. ADK has a game running like an adorable but deadly well-oiled machine. I find the game to be enjoyable, but the few friends I do have close to me don't seem interested in trying this one out. The Steam version, I imagine, has online, but I don't have that version yet. If I like a game enough, it's no big to double or triple, or maybe even quadruple dip on it. As long as you have the money and your level of enjoyment of the game is high, then that's perfectly fine. I've done that with Mega Man 2 just because I enjoy how it plays, and the soundtrack is one of the best 8-bit best out there. But that's besides the point. Like most games, difficulty ramps up before you get to the end. I don't remember it being as punishing as something like Art of Fighting, which is one of the hardest fighting games ever. Before taking on the final boss, you have to go to Mevia's Castle, which should be the next stage before the last one. And I guess that makes Mevius the sub-boss or lackey of Memory the final boss. After being her will be the ending with the wish of that whatever character you play as asked for. In this case, it's Linker and Tinker. After they remain victorious against their opponents to see who's the cutest and his deadliest. The cutest in a supreme adorable battle, who's the best shooter in the vertical sense. I don't think this kind of game would work if done horizontally because of the screen real estate and how much each player could see, move, or shoot and dodge. But weirder things have happened, like R-Type becoming a strategy game, so who knows. Not even just one strategy game, but 2 of them, even though the second one was in Japan only with the subtitle Operation Bitter Chocolate. Now, Twinkle Star Sprites actually had a sequel, which was in Japan only for the PS2 with the subtitle La Petite Princess. I have never played it because I failed at modding my fat PS2 to be able to play Japanese games many years ago. From what I can remember, I was supposed to make this my top loader like the PS1, but I didn't do a very good job and it didn't work sadly. I only had 2 Japanese PS2 games and they were Trio the Punch and Never Forget Me. And, how could you with a name like that? And The Last Blade 1 and 2 collection. The only reasons I bought these games is because they were cheap, probably under $30, and I heard good things about them. In the future, I'll probably just get a Japanese PS2 so I don't have to worry about modding anymore. And luckily, region locking is basically a thing of the past today, which makes life easy for us to want to play games from any region we want without any restrictions. Surprisingly, SNK actually released a couple of their PS2 collections for PS4. One was Full Super Combo, which has Savage Rain and Kazuna Encounter. These games are punishing, with Savage Rain being somewhat goofier and than Kazuna Encounter. However, Kazuna Encounter is one of the first tag team fight games. The other is the ADK Damashi, which I've already mentioned, but the fight games featured are Aggressives or Dark Combat. See what they did there? Ninja Masters, Ninja Combat, Ninja Commando, it's a lot of ninjas, and of course Twinkle Star Sprites, the subject of this video. This playthrough of Twinkle Star Sprites is basically over, so enjoy the ending of Linker and Tinker as they dominate the world. No, they're not the fairy version of Pinky and the Brain. You'll just have to stay tuned. ADK have a really great concept and execution here, and luckily, they did inspire other developers like Team Shanghai Alice behind the prolific Toho series. The first game inspired by Twinkle Star Sprites was Phantasmagoria of Dim Dream. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of Dim Dream, but I do have footage of a sequel called Phantasmagoria of Flower Moon. For those familiar with the Toho series, they know there will be Danmaku and girls firing ridiculous looking bullying patterns at each other. Of course, it's all thanks to the evil genius known as Zoom, the one-man gaming virtuoso, who probably never imagined that his creations would have blown up so majorly they have in the past few years. I don't have a lot of experience with the Toho series, but I have played a couple of the main games and some of the spin-offs. I thoroughly enjoy the soundtracks to the main games, and I even have one of the songs as my ringtone. In case you're wondering, it's Phantom Ensemble. Oh yeah, good stuff.
For this next section, I'm just going to shut up and let the game footage speak for itself. After all, it's very similar to Twinkle Star Sprites, but with that Toho twist, meaning it's more chaotic. I haven't played this game yet, but I figure if I didn't say something about it, someone would have mentioned it in the comments. So enjoy, then I'll share a tidbit of knowledge I recently discovered afterwards. Final boss is no joke. I'm not exactly a master of shooters, but I came out on top somehow. Just gotta stay dedicated and have persistence. Plus, maybe some luck was involved. And now for the ending, which is fairly short. Here comes a new challenger. To keep going on with Toho, I guess recently there's a couple of things that have released, such as a manga called Forbidden Scrollery that has like 7 or 8 volumes out. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That's actually been released in English. And also Toho Spell Bubble, which is another versus game, but it's placed like a puzzle bobble, or for some reason they call it best bust a move, which doesn't make any sense because there weren't rhythm games. But actually, Toho Spell Bubble does have some live elements into it, so it kind of brings everything all together for a sense of closure. I believe that give a shout out to Zuvi's Game Room. She's done a video about the Toho Spell Bubble, but you can get it in English on the eShop. I think for like $50, which isn't too bad and slightly unexpected. But I mean, that's pretty much all I got. So everybody, hope you had a good Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully we can have a better year than how horrible this one was. So later.